Hey, everybody. Thank you for choosing the Quantum of Conscience radio program for your drive home. My name is Matt McKinley, and as usual, I'm here Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 on St. Louis's own KPRK. That's K-Prick. Our nighttime host, following me at 6 p.m., Mae Brussel. Today's program are monthly Stalled Century updates. That's right, Stalled Century updates. Someone sent me Beverly Hills Cop 4, and I went, oh no, only on Netflix. Well, thank God. It shows the same Judd Nelson or Judd Reinhardt, what's the guy's name? Axl Rose is in the back seat. It's the same. I went, what the hell's this? Beverly Hills Cop 4. There was a 2 and a 3? I'm going to be like a Mandela-affected person. That didn't exist in my reality. I would have seen that. I think it was so bad I just missed it. Did I say Axl Rose? Axel Foley, I think his name. Yeah, Axel Foley is in the back seat. Judge whatever. I don't know the other guy's name. He was probably not in one single role. He's just waiting 40 years for Beverly Hills Cop 4, that other actor that who knows, his career didn't take off the way Judge or Judds or whatever his name is. Now, I was thinking, is there anything big they haven't redone and destroyed? I'm going to pause this. I'm going to sit here for a minute. I'm not sure. What do they do when they get through and they finish it? Maybe there is 5 major things left they haven't redone and destroyed. But then are they just going to do it again like they're doing Wonka? Grab My Willie Part 2 or number 2 called Charlie and the Chocolate Factory with Johnny Depp. Could be the worst movie of all time. Now, Johnny Depp at his heyday, he had some great roles and he had some just horrendous roles. I mean, if you like the Captain Jack Sparrow thing, he put his own little twist to it, and overall, he's a heck of an actor. I mean, they say he doesn't even watch himself for whatever weird reason, but whatever he tried to do with the Wonka character, it literally could be the worst character in any movie in history and the worst movie in history. So then they're going to do it again. A Wonka prequel. I've seen a minute of the trailer, guys. That's all I know about it. I think it's how Willy Wonka got established in the chocolate business. It's like, who cares about how Willy Wonka got established in the chocolate business? Let's do a prequel before that, how his mother and father gave birth to him or something, and we know how that happened. Okay, Wonka, obviously is very important to the creeps. The Gene Wilder version is really dark and creepy. I don't really care to go understand it. You just get a sense that it is esoteric / occult, whatever, certain messages or something in it that the creeps really like. And it also gives itself away because when they keep recycling something over and over. But apparently the new Wonka is decent. I mean, it's not the complete destruction. I think there's like a correlation, I think, guys. See if you agree with this. When something is really important to the creeps, then they sometimes or usually don't destroy it. For example, Matrix 4. You know how important the Matrix 1 through 3 are to the creeps, or the fact whatever message had to be delivered, however you interpret it, that it was important to them. I thought 4 was pretty good, better than most people, and it was still not the complete destruction of everything else we see going on around us. What is another example? Dune. All right, Dune, you get a sense, for some reason, David Lynch involved. I mean, who knows what his ties are. He has that little bit of a dark feel, although there's a segment of the truth community that just loves David Lynch, and they think he's just working for us, which I don't buy that for a second. I think he's had many seats at the creepy table, but the new Dune is a pretty darn good movie, new 2 or 3 years ago. So there's like if it's really important, is this like a new rule, to the creeps, then the remake is not going to completely destroy it. I don't think I've seen all the different adaptations of The Wizard of Oz, but they've worked to destroy that. There was called Wicked on Broadway too, and I mean, I think the Wizard of Oz stuff, at least the new movies, are absolutely horrible, and that is, Stalled Century as usual. It's like 2 things are going on: Stalled Century, which is the point of the Drive Time Home radio program here, but also to destroy the original work that carried the amazing spiritual message, and maybe nothing carries a bigger message in that regard than The Wizard of Oz. Hey, Dorothy, you could have gone home at any time. The power was within you. Didn't need those ruby slippers. All you had to do was basically say there's no place like home. And you didn't have to go on all those quests and do all that stuff. And you didn't have to be fearful of the wizard. Fearful. You didn't have to be fearful of the wizard. You didn't have to try to go get the witch's broom. You didn't have to do it. It was all within you the whole time. And even for the other three dopes, they had what they most wanted. The Scarecrow wanted a brain. We already have it. And here's some damn diploma from the Not Milk to prove you have a brain. Well, you should just recognize it yourself, you Scarecrow, you dumb son of a beach. The Tin Man wanted a heart. Well, in terms of what he wanted, I don't think he really cared about the organ, did he? Did he want that thing, the juicy thing in there? I think he just wanted a heart for what it represented. He already had it. It doesn't matter. He already had it. He was also given a Foxconn jumper net piece of plastic, piece of shit from China to prove he had it. You would just recognize it yourself, Tin Man. Don't look to this asswipe wizard. And then the line, of course, he had the courage. And getting back to the Tin Man, how many multiple truth drops could there be? Was the Tin Man, and this is ridiculous, folks, but look, we're going to have fun with this for the drive time home. Many of you are sitting in a traffic jam. Was an allusion that an artificial heart doesn't work, can't be made of metal or plastic. Only a real heart transplant works. We haven't talked about this for a while. It was like the Jarvik heart or whatever in the 70s or whatever. Your heart does more than just pump blood. So it has to be a transfer from another living tissue, another body, another, quote, real human. The Tin Man didn't have a heart because an artificial heart of tin or plastic or whatever, that doesn't work. Like, for example, the way they depict Jean-Luc Picard, which is some technology heart, that doesn't work on real humans. The reason is the heart is more than what they say it is. It pumps blood, but it does a whole lot more. It's probably part of our collective intelligence even, our sixth sense. It works with the brain, intuition. It's not just a pump of blood. That's why there's so many literary references. What does your heart tell you? You know, she stole my heart. That's all stuffed Lenins. They're Humpty Dumptys. Tells you even in the stuffed Lenins of artwork that the heart is much more. It's part of our collective intelligence. And we're going to do, I guess, one of the chapters maybe, or at least we'll talk about it in the book before it's finished. What do they know, these creeps? They know everything. They let the scientists, the false scientists at the university research parks, just spin their wheels, knowing they're not going to get anywhere. They know everything about how this reality works, for the most part, in my opinion. They understand exactly why you can't put a metal plastic heart into someone as a heart transplant, why that doesn't work for a real human. So I'm going to just look online to see what if there was an artificial heart people had in their chest for a year, 2 or 3 or 4, I think we'd know about it. They just can't do this in science, and they're probably still stalled. Let me look. Here's something from these asswipes at the BBC. Why science still hasn't cracked the artificial heart. Oh, you never will. Because if it was just about something beating and pushing blood around, well, they had blenders in the 20s or whatever. It's more than that. Here's what it says from these asswipes. From tunneling beneath cities to traveling to the moon, that's what they use as humanity's engineering achievements? Well, one isn't even valid. They do tunnel beneath cities, I'll give them that. Why has building an artificial heart proved to be more challenging than expected? Nothing shows more clearly the perfect engineering of the heart than our own failed attempts to imitate it. The history of the artificial heart is punctuated with both brilliant innovation and continual clinical failure. Well, we know the failure part. They ain't done nothing since 1970. Where's the brilliant innovation if nothing works? I mean, really? I have this brilliant innovation. It's called a certain type of engine for the car. It no longer needs a gas. Has it ever worked in one car? No. But it's brilliant, and I deserve Obama's Nobel Peace Prize for that. Let me continue. In 1962, JFK challenged the scientific community to land a man on the moon. Why are they mentioning that against and return him safe? Oh, God. In 1964, cardiovascular surgeon Michael DeBakey, D-E-B-A-K-E-Y, Michael DeBakey persuaded Lyndon Johnson to fund a program to develop the first functional, self-contained artificial heart, launching a race to successfully make one before the moon landing. In 1969, both aims were apparently achieved. Oh, really? with the Texas Heart Institute implementing the first total artificial heart just 3 months before the launch of Apollo 11. Oh boy, 3 months before the launch of Apollo 11. 3 times 11, 33. Really? These jerks. However, while the moon landings, blah, 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 blah. Come on, get to the point. Not Matt, the article. Okay, they stuffed this piece of shit in a few bodies. It worked for a few weeks, a few months, and everybody just needed either the real heart or they died. Okay? There's no achievement. It's a failure. Flanagan, F. Cocktails and Dreams, F. Continuing to look at this, it does say somebody survived 1,000 days or more with an artificial heart. But what is that vessel, right? Is that an NPC? Is that the same spiritual being? Could they put, what does your inner knowing tell you? And I guarantee it tells you the same thing it tells me. Can they put an artificial heart inside a real spiritual being? And let me listen to every cell in my body saying, no, it's screaming at me, no. It just, think of it, and what does your inner knowing tell you? If you had an artificial heart, a piece of plastic, metal, said Foxconn, wherever it came from, made by Daewoo in South Korea, no, it would not work for people like us. So getting back to Stalled Century Update, the theme of this video, is there anything big movie-wise, say in the modern era, I don't know, let's say 1980 and beyond, that they haven't gone back, remade, and destroyed, other than, remember the proviso, if the creeps are in love with it, like Dune, they'll make it good, carrying it forward, and not out to destroy what they love. I mean, Star Wars, of course, is the greatest example other than The Wizard of Oz. There's similar type messages in Star Wars, like The Wizard of Oz. Not as monumental as that, but very, very similar messages where this trilogy, the original 1977, needs to be destroyed. You link what is almost perfect with really positive messages, and we can analyze that some other time, and you just attach it to as much absolute horseshit, dog shit, smelly shit as you can. And that shit, when you throw it all in the lake together, that one part just sinks the other. I mean, they can't go back and get everybody's VCR tape that people have stuffed away at the attic, but all they can do is destroy the new and then link it the best they can to the old. But will they go back into the old classics? Will they get their hands on Casablanca? Have they done it? I don't think so. But will they go back and remake Casablanca and to destroy it? I'm hearing somebody yelling at me going, Matt, they were great movies, all the old black and whites, but there was no spiritual message. They don't have to go out of their way to destroy that. They might make some sort of a remake, though, for Stalled Century, just to keep everything from the past stalled forward. But that is interesting, now that I think about it, if I'm talking about it. What's being stalled out, like redoing Magnum P.I., is the stall out just like stuff from the 70s, 80s, and 90s? I know they've made new movies of older stuff like The Magnificent Seven, but that was like the era before this era, where the spell right now is to destroy and bring it into the future to help stall the century. So the new Magnificent Seven with Denzel Washington is actually a pretty good movie. They remake, like, I don't know what comes to mind, The Out-of-Towners. They remade that, and that's decent on the remake. I mean, the new, what they're doing now, if they redo it and it's not something they're in love with or carries a meaning to the creeps like Dune, in some way, we can talk about that some other time. It's out to be destroyed, and it also suits or meets their Stalled Century protocol, whatever creepy spell they have to try to stall out time. I don't know what finish line they're trying to cross or what they hope to accomplish by everything they're doing, but there's different possible reasons. I guess we should talk about that. We just start Stalled Century Update, assuming everybody goes back with us 5 years and knows every possible permutation on what could be happening with Stalled Century. I guess a return to the basics for a few minutes is what I should have done right off the bat, so I'll do it now. Before that, though, I was just sitting here thinking for a minute. They did remake some things, and they were pretty darn good on the remake. Okay, here's 2 examples just popped in my head. Then we'll do Stalled Century Basics. People, could you imagine somebody stumbling upon this video, or if actually by mistake went out over the FM airwaves and people were sitting in traffic jams listening to this, they'd get out of their car and Foxconn jumper net out. So the first movie I was thinking of was True Grit, originally made with John Wayne, probably in the mid-'60s. The little girl hires, was it Marshall Cogland, or a hired gun to go seek revenge or something for the murder of her father. The remake with Jeff Bridges, I don't know what that little girl's name is pretty darn good. The original's very good as well. Jeff Bridges plays that slovenly marshal, and Matt Damon is in everything, of course. Mr. LaBeeve. That's the one where he says, "We Texas Rangers are used to roughing it. I once found a horse hoof print with muddy water in it, and I was happy to have it." The other movie I was thinking of was The Parent Trap. The original Parent Trap, it's old, it looks dated, and not a lot of people have seen it, but it's a pretty good movie. The Parent Trap with Lindsay Lohan is a phenomenal movie. I'm big enough to say that. I admit it. Yeah, I've seen it 10 times. I love it. Absolutely. For 20 years, I thought there was two little girls, maybe 10 years. I didn't know it was the same Lindsay Lohan playing both. Anyway, they could remake movies with skill. It's part of the spell today. There's no other way to talk about it. I mean, I don't truly understand what they're out to do. We can just use these generic terms like spell and creepy table, and what else can we do? We at least we see generally what's going on, whether it be the first grade truthers or the people around us or the people that run the same scripts, or it's always there is no imagination anymore, no originality. I mean, it's not that. It's a spell more than it's that. It's an agenda, whatever they're out to do with Stalled Century. How many times have you heard people say, even inside our own truth community, imagination's dead? Well, okay, what's the imagination to redo The Parent Trap exactly scene for scene the way it was done in the 60s, but make it much, much better? Let's just say that broad brush description of what's going on is accurate, which it's not. I mean, just broad brush, imagination's dead. All imagination across all real people's dead. I mean, that doesn't make any sense, but how many people throw that out? Let's just say that was correct, which it's not. You take an old movie like True Grit, you just redo it exactly scene by scene, but make it better. There is no imagination even involved because you're copying the original movie scene by scene. It doesn't have to be destroyed every time they redo it or remake it. You can copy something that was good. I've never seen this movie. People talk about North by Northwest. I don't know what that is. I've heard people talk it as one of the top 100 classics. You could probably, because it's so older and dated, you could probably redo that and make it good. If everything's being destroyed across the board, then all these things are being destroyed on purpose. The people around us believe Hollywood is putting forth its best foot and really trying. Well, we question that they were really trying in 2015 with The Force Awakens. It's happened so many, like 1,000 times. Everything's been destroyed. We know it's intentionally being destroyed. Matt, you said you were going to explain the basics of Stalled. I need to back up to the basics for a few minutes. Not just that, but why they would intentionally destroy anything. To me, there are a few factors that absolutely, in my opinion, must be involved to explain Stalled Century. The funny thing about it is your best friend, your Aunt Ginny, would think even the premise of what we're talking about is nuts. Matt, it's a lack of imagination, and Hollywood needs to make money. I mean, and we in this community know that the Stalled Century is absolutely what's happening. Now, we might disagree what the spell or how they're using it, but it's an intentional Stalled Century. It's so funny how we see that 100%, not 99%. And our friends and family would say there's a 0% chance of that. Talk about no meeting of the minds. So number one, things we've talked about in the past, so I'll be brief. As you move the human being basically into a almost, I don't know, lack of better words, a new reality that they want to create, or even put them into the people into the digital environment or the brain chip or whatever it may be, whatever the future holds, as you make radical changes to society, culture, or even changes to metaphysical reality itself, I mean, you keep all the old Linus blankets in place. You still have Vanna White turning letters. Oh, Beverly Hills Cop 4. You bring an old friend back, and you take your Linus blanket into the movies and crunch your popcorn. You have the old friends that you can carry with you as the reality is being transformed, or when they want somebody to go into the digital environment. or the magenta will take over, and everything will turn. It will be flushed into the digital environment without our say so. No, I don't believe that. We'll talk about the magenta agenda soon. I don't believe it's that bad. I was just joking. But it's just Linus blankets. It's just Linus blankets. So you believe nothing much has changed while everything is changing. But there's another aspect of that, and I don't know how they don't seem compatible, these two things. But it does appear both are going on. The second thing is with Stalled Century. It's like more of the spell aspect. They're trying to like stall out time or something, or hold on to the age. Or some people might say, keep Aquarius from coming and hold on to Pisces, or hold on to the position of power that they control in this age. And people like Levitt have talked about them stalling out time and trying to redo the astrology. Just stuff that's way beyond my pay grade that I don't understand, of course, that I can't speak intelligently about. But we sense there's something like this going on. And the problem with that is, well, if they stall it out adequately or within the parameters that they're shooting for, what does the finish line look like to them? What is their ultimate goal? That's what's a little creepy and a little scary. Ultimately, again, for the worry about yourself activities and what you need to do for yourself. Again, this whole conversation is irrelevant to worry about yourself activities. It's just for fun. Maybe you are stuck in traffic outside St. Louis Bill's neighborhood, and you're listening to KPRK K-Prick. But, okay, it's not, they never can interrupt your worry about yourself activities. So as dark as this gets, there's nothing, in my opinion, I'm not just saying it to make us feel better, there's nothing to be concerned about. They're going to do what they're going to do with this reality, so be it. So what? They won't be able to make massive changes while we're alive, even if somebody's in their 20s listening to me. Massive changes relatively. I don't think we're living in digital environments in 5 years, and they're very patient as they ghoulishly come back into bodies. Do you think Henry is back in a body? You know who I'm talking about. I'm just going to say Henry KPRK. You're listening to K-Prick. Henry K. PRK, K-Prick. Is he back in a body? Tony postulated that the sequential incarnation has a different relationship with higher self, and actually has like potentially recognition of who it is and past life memories. And does it come back, if Henry is back in a body already, does it have to go through baby and adolescence and puberty? Does it be brought up, or do they have like vessels ready to go, like Brad Pitt in a coffin? Picture it. I'm not joking. Like Brad Pitt in an interview with a vampire, but there's no personality. It's just a vessel in a coffin. And then say Henry KPRK goes into the Brad Pitt-like vessel, comes out of the coffin like Victor emerged from Underworld, and then there is no puberty, adolescence, baby, going to the prom, can't get you to prom yet, can't get a senior prom yet. Doesn't have to go through all that bullshit. He just looks in the mirror. It's a 25-year-old Brad Pitt. He's like, boy, I feel better than I did a few weeks ago at 100 and some doing the damn 60 Minutes interviews. I could barely get up out of the damn chair. Look at this new body. Okay, get me to George Soros's house. Who can we destroy tomorrow? You guys generally know what I'm talking about here, right? With the certain topics floating around our community, with the most famous being that Barbara Bush and Aleister Crowley are the same entity. It's just one entity goes through a series of different bodies, comes into another body. We did float these videos around, and they're always fun to watch. But Tony, the one that gives me certain advice, he actually said there is a lot of truth to this for that particular type of entity, which isn't the same as anybody listening to this. He's saying that there is truth to it. He called it a different relationship with higher self. He didn't say they're trapped here or anything completely bound to this place. He said they're kind of being left behind. They're not willing to go as far as we're going. They're not willing to leave the pleasures and the comfort and their own Linus blankets behind. But the most famous one being Barbara Bush to Aleister Crowley. You've seen the videos where the faces look exactly the same. But if that's the case, who's the entity in the middle? Or would there be at least one missing? I don't know the exact dates on Aleister Crowley. It's not, that's a waste of time focus. If you ask me, I haven't spent a lot of time on it. It's interesting. I've watched some videos about it. I have no more interest than that. Who was the one in the middle? Maybe Lyndon Johnson. I don't know. It would have to be a mega creep. And if the Henry is right now in another vessel, in another body, whether it be a child's body, an adolescence, a Brad Pitt adult. Where is it? Is it self-aware of who it was, who it used to be? Just a month ago, giving the 60 Minutes interview, saying, if we picked up the phone right now and said, Vladimir Putin, Henry's on the line, would Vladimir take the call? I think he would take the call. Yeah, that is it self-aware. Maybe they have a not-milk adoption agency. I never saw Mrs. Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children or whatever it's called, or they have a foster agency, and people like Melvin come in and like, what children do we have today that you have to take under your dragon's wing? Well, this one here, this is one just 2 years old. The entity that was Henry, you know who, that's who's in there, can't talk it. This one over here used to be Caligula back in the day, and Napoleon and other creeps. This one here, Idi Amin in a past life. Which one would you like to take home, Melvin? Oh, definitely the one that was Caligula. And they're carrying the past knowledge of multiple lifetimes and many generations, so they can be of use right away. Even if you take the 5-7-year-old home, put it right to work. It's carrying the knowledge of a 4,000-year-old Egyptian king. All right, this is. I gotta, Matt, end it, and hope nobody heard this part. Thanks for listening.